This is Channel 25 WVTT Olean. Now, from the Twin Tiers' biggest broadcast news operation, this is the 6 o'clock report with Jeff Andrulonis and Alexa Olson. Listen on News Radio 96.7 WVTT or watch on News Channel 25 WVTT television. WVTT proudly presents the 6 o'clock report.
Good evening, I'm Alexa Olson. Jeff Andrulonis is off tonight. The big story on the 6 o'clock report. A fire in Bolivar has sent 3 firefighters to the hospital and has left a family homeless. WVTT's Valerie Tyasander joins us live now in the WVTT digital newsroom with the latest on the cause of that fire. Valerie?
Hi, Alexa. And the firefighters have said that that house which caught fire could be seen across the town, and that did apparently have an unusual cause.
This house looked like any of the others lining Liberty Street in Bolivar. That is until 2 p.m. on Monday afternoon when flames engulfed the home. After that, Sue Saunders says, it all went so fast. Saunders says while firefighters were there within 2 minutes, it felt like an eternity. But even so, the high winds caused the fire to become too powerful. Sue's husband, Andy Saunders, says the insurance investigators may have found an unusual cause for the fire, a squirrel. He didn't want to go on camera, but says the investigators believe a squirrel may have chewed through the wire leading to the dryer while it was on and inadvertently become kindling when sparks flew. Both he and his wife escaped without injury, but 3 firefighters weren't so lucky. 2 male firefighters were injured. A beam fell on the foot of one, and a second got smoke burns to his face. A third received an eye injury.
And there were firefighters from 13 different companies there battling that blaze. We will have more on the final discovery of how the fire was started later. Live from the WVTT Digital News Center, I'm Valerie Tyasander. Back to you.
Thanks, Valerie. We are continuing coverage on that story on our website, colonialme.com. We now know the reasons for the apartment explosion in Alfred, New York on Sunday. Investigators say they got a good idea of what caused that explosion. Allegheny County Fire Coordinator Jeff Lucky says they're still investigating, but the scene left by the blast has all the indicators of an explosion. 2 residents were injured and more than 30 more were left homeless by the blast, which firefighters say has at least now rendered the entire building uninhabitable. After 2 days of dealing with the trauma of a natural gas explosion, residents of Rose Apartments in Alfred will finally be able to begin recovery, and today, around half the occupants of the apartment complex will be able to get their possessions. The explosion destroyed a third of the building, but Lucky says there was only smoke and water damage, so most of the residents' belongings will be intact. However, some will not be able to access their apartment and maybe never will. Lucky believes that 50% of the building will have to be torn down. There's new information on the Sunday canoeing accident that drowning in the Allegheny Reservoir. Officials say the body recovered Sunday afternoon is that of Kane resident Terry Snyder. She reportedly was the canoe fishing near the Red Bridge recreational area where her husband, Mike Snyder, when the canoe capsized, sending them into the lake. The search continues for Mike, although officials say they presume he also drowned. We'll have more on that on our website later. Cattaraugus County lawmakers are scheduled to vote on a 5% county bed tax tomorrow on overnight stays in hotels, motels, and other establishments. This tax was put into place 6 years ago, and the board would be voting on whether or not to extend it. The bed tax is predicted to produce over $800,000 this year. Most of this money goes to tourism, promotional events, and economic developments for Cattaraugus County. The vote will take place tomorrow in the Little Valley County Center at 3 p.m. 4 freight rail lines in the 25th Senatorial District will receive more than $6 million in state grants to upgrade rail infrastructure and provide repairs to their lines. That's according to Senator Joe Scarnati. The grants were approved by the State Transportation Commission, which evaluates the resources needed to maintain and expand Pennsylvania's transportation system. McKean County will be getting a $1.9 million grant to rehabilitate 3,700 feet of railroad track. According to AAA, 43.6 million Americans are expected to take Thanksgiving trips this year, with 90% of them traveling by automobile. That's an increase of 0.6%. With so many cars hitting the road, it's now more important than ever for drivers to make sure their vehicle's tires are in good condition. In doing so, they will help to ensure the safety of themselves, their family, and other drivers. According to a recent survey by the Rubber Manufacturer Association, 13% of the cars surveyed nationally are driving with at least one bald tire, which means that more than 33 million vehicles on the road could be driving with at least one bald tire. This represents almost 3% increase over 2011. Well, with the lame duck session approaching, Congressman Tom Reed says that he hopes to avoid the fiscal cliff the country is facing.
I am optimistic that we will avoid the fiscal cliff because, one, the elections are over, and it's time for us to get serious about the issues that we face.
Nancy Pelosi also shared her thoughts on the fiscal cliff.
We want an agreement. We want one, as Mr. Israel said, Chairman Israel said, that is fair to middle-class Americans, that we need to have growth, put growth on the table. How do we get growth? If we have growth, we can produce revenue. I want you to be disabused of any notion that there's any widespread thought that it would be a good thing for our country for us to go over the cliff. We want an agreement. We want an agreement.
Congressman Tom Reed says that he's going to be the voice for the district by expanding relationships with serious people in Washington who can in turn take care of the serious issues here at home. Reed says that he is ready to continue representing the county during this next term.
And that's what this is all about, is making sure as we try to go down this path of recovery for the American economy that we don't do things in Washington, D.C. that jeopardize that recovery.
Well, big news for the First Niagara Center in Buffalo. It will host the first two rounds of the NCAA men's basketball tournament in March of 2014. The announcement was recently made and has fans excited to see what things will change since the last time they hosted the tournament back in 2010. More news is next. Stay tuned. This is News Channel 25 WVTT.